Hey guys, this is Nirmal here for Technique, and today we're going to compare two mid-range popular smartphones. One is the ASUS Zenfone 5 and also we have the Xiaomi Redmi Note. So these two phones compete in almost similar pricing category, although the Zenfone 5 is slightly costlier than this Redmi Note, but it does have pretty good impressive specs. So we'll do a quick comparison of these two devices. So before we go into this detailed comparison, we'll have a quick look at the specs. So the ASUS Zenfone 5 comes with a 5-inch HD display. It's powered by Intel Atom dual-core processor with 2 GB of RAM. So it was one of the few devices with 2 GB of RAM when it was released, and it also comes with 8 megapixel rear camera with LED flash, front-facing 2 megapixel camera. And there is also Android 4.4 KitKat right now, and it has two variants, that's 8 GB and the 16 GB variant. So that is the quick specs of the ASUS Zenfone 5. Then let's talk about the new Xiaomi Redmi Note. So the Redmi Note was launched recently in India, and this comes with a 5.5-inch HD display. It's powered by 1.7 GHz octa-core processor with 2 GB of RAM. It has 8 GB internal storage. There is Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean, and it has the 13 megapixel rear camera with LED flash and a 5 megapixel front facing camera for selfies. So that is the spec aspect of these two devices. Now let's go into the detailed comparison of these two devices. So first let's start off with the design and build quality. So we already know ASUS Zenfone 5 is one of the good looking smartphones in this category, and it does come with a pretty good design. So we have already talked about this design, and it has a curved matte finish back panel. It's pretty good to hold. It's really solid in hands. It has really good finishing, and the overall build quality looks really good. Now coming on to the Xiaomi Redmi Note, again Xiaomi products have really great quality. Even the Redmi 1S and the Mi 3 had really good impressive build quality and the design. So Redmi Note also follows the same design principles of the Redmi 1S. We have the curved back panel, but unlike the Redmi 1S, this has a glossy finish, and this has really good excellent build quality. So design wise, it's nothing's changed between the Redmi 1S and the Redmi Note. So almost similar in the design aspect, and the overall fit and finish and quality looks good. But the Redmi Note is a bit more heavier than the ASUS Zenfone 5, obviously because of the bigger battery as well as the bigger display. So this is a 5.5-inch display when compared to the 5 on the the ASUS Zenfone 5. So overall in the design and build quality aspect, we can't really choose one device because it depends upon how compact device you want. If you want a really compact device, then the ASUS Zenfone 5 makes a better choice. But if you're not really bothered about the device screen size and really want a bigger display, then probably the Redmi Note is better here. So in the design and build quality aspect, both are really good. Nothing to choose really between them, but it all depends upon your personal choice. Now moving on to the display of these two smartphones. So both of these devices sports an HD display. The Zenfone 5 has a 5-inch HD display, whereas the Xiaomi Redmi Note has a 5.5-inch HD display. So in terms of the pixels per inch, obviously the Xiaomi Redmi Note is slightly lower than the ASUS Zenfone 5 because both have the HD display, and the Redmi Note has an HD display in a bigger screen, so obviously the pixels per inch would be lower. The ASUS Zenfone 5 HD display is really good, and it's pretty vibrant as well, and looks pretty good. Even the viewing angles are really good. But one issue with the ASUS Zenfone 5 display is it's slightly reflective, and the sunlight readability is not that great. The brightness levels are pretty okay, and the overall the touch response is also good. Now coming on to the Xiaomi Redmi Note, this is one really beautiful display. It's really vibrant, it's even sharp as well, and the sunlight readability is also pretty good, and even the viewing angles are really good. So in the overall display aspect, we would be inclined to choose the Xiaomi Redmi Note because the display is really vibrant and sharp, and the sunlight readability is better than the ASUS Zenfone 5. So that is the display aspect. Now let's move on to the software and the performance of these two smartphones. So both these phones run a custom version of Android, which means they don't have similarities with the core Android. So the ASUS Zenfone 5 has Android 4.4 KitKat right now, and on top of that it has the Zen UI. That's a beautiful Zen UI. So it does offer lots of features. We have talked about the Zen UI quite a lot of times, and this is one really good implementation of Android. There are tons of features to offer, and again the notification center is really beautiful. So all in all, the performance is again really brilliant. The 1.6 GHz Intel Atom dual core processor really works well, and it's pretty snappy as well. So all in all, the performance of the ASUS Zenfone 5 is really good, and we didn't have any issues or lag with the OS. The gaming performance did have some issues because some games did crash on the Zen UI, so that's probably because of the software and nothing to do with the hardware actually. So probably ASUS will take care of that in future, but the overall software performance is pretty good on the ASUS Zenfone 5. Now coming on to the Xiaomi Redmi Note, this is again a custom UI. This is called a MIUI version 5 on top of Android 4.2.2 Jelly Bean. So that's 2 generations older than the ASUS Zenfone 5's KitKat version. So if you're taking into consideration the OS, the Redmi Note runs an outdated version of Android, that's 2 generation outdated. But then you don't really feel that it's an outdated OS because we have this Redmi's, the Xiaomi's MIUI, which is really feature rich. So you can see the notifications and again a beautiful implementation of the notification center. And we have tons of features. So we have talked about this MIUI quite a lot of times on our YouTube channel, and this is really useful UI with tons of features. And we would say that the features are much better on the Redmi Note than the ASUS Zenfone 5. Even the ASUS Zenfone 5 is pretty good, but feature wise the MIUI version 5 wins here. So again, the performance of the Redmi Note is really good. 1.7 GHz octa-core processor really works, and even the gaming performance is pretty decent on this device. So overall, taking into consideration the software and the performance, we would be inclined to choose the Xiaomi Redmi Note because the software is really superior than the Zen UI, and it does offer really good performance. So that was the software and performance side. Now let's move on to the camera. So we already said that the ASUS Zenfone 5 comes with a 8 megapixel camera. That's a pixel master camera along with LED flash, and we have already reviewed this camera and found it to be really good. And it does offer lots of features. So you can see the interface is really feature rich. It does offer lots of features like night mode, low light mode, HDR, and a lot of other options. So all in all, the features that are being offered on the ASUS Zenfone 5 camera is really good, and the photo quality is pretty decent. Although we can't say the Zenfone 5 has a really great photo quality, but the photo quality does look good, and below a price of 10K, this is really good camera. So that was the camera of the ASUS Zenfone 5. Now moving on to the Xiaomi Redmi Note. So this packs a 13 megapixel camera. That's very few devices are offering a 13 megapixel camera below price point of 10K, and the camera UI is exactly similar to that of what we saw on the Redmi 1S. So you can see here lots of options, but unlike the Zenfone 5, the feature set is lesser than the Pixel Master camera, so you don't have too many modes. We have a very limited number of filters, but there are features being offered on this camera as well. But if you consider the overall feature set being offered, we would say that the Zenfone 5 has much better feature set. But coming on to the photo quality, we have a clear winner here. That's Xiaomi Redmi Note, which has better clarity and even sharper images and better detailing than the ASUS Zenfone 5. Now the video recording, we can't really say the 13 megapixel camera is better, but you can't say that because even the ASUS Zenfone 5 produces a pretty decent 1080p recording. So both these devices support 1080p, and the overall camera is better on the Xiaomi Redmi Note. Now moving on to the battery performance, which is very important aspect when we buy new smartphones. And the ASUS Zenfone 5 has a 2110 milliamp hour battery, while the Redmi Note has a 3000 milliamp hour battery. So that's a massive capacity battery on the Redmi Note, and the obvious winner we can easily predict is the Redmi Note, because the ASUS Zenfone 5 has this issue of battery, and we struggled to get 1 day of usage when we tested and reviewed the ASUS Zenfone 5. So nothing has really changed after the KitKat update, even though there is slight improvement. the battery performance is still a concern on the Zenfone 5. But on the other hand, the Redmi Note has a pretty good impressive battery performance, and with a 3000 mAh battery you can easily get 1 day of usage, and probably if you are a casual user you can get at least 1.5 day of usage. So now we have talked about various aspects of these two smartphones, including the display build, the software, the performance, camera, and the battery life. So which is better device to buy here? So the ASUS Zenfone 5 8GB variant is priced, while the Xiaomi Redmi Note 8GB variant is priced 1000 rupees less, that's 8999. So price wise the Redmi Note is the better choice here. But having said that, the Redmi Note is not an easy device to use on a daily basis, because it's a 5.5-inch display and it's really massive and heavier than the ASUS Zenfone 5. So if you're not really concerned about two things, that is, one is the weight aspect and also the bigger display, and secondly the software which is running, that's outdated software. So if you're not really worried about these two aspects, always the Redmi Note is the better winner here. But if you are concerned about latest software updates, then you would probably choose the Zenfone 5. So the ASUS Zenfone 5 will be getting the Lollipop update in April, but nothing mentioned about the Redmi Note. So, and apart from that, the ASUS Zenfone 5 is pretty compact and easy to use than the Redmi Note. So it's two major criteria which you have to consider when you select the Redmi Note. One is the weight factor, and second is the updates, the latest software updates which will come for this device. But having said that, you will probably get the MIUI version 6 for the Redmi Note, which brings lots of new features.